All right, we ready?
All set?
All right. Hey guys, my name is Jackie Miller and I'm a coach with QT2 Systems, OutRival Racing. I'm actually in May will mark the start of my 18th year in triathlon. I can't even believe that's possible. And it also will mark my 16th year coaching. And I have been with QT2. I've kind of lost track now, but somewhere between 10 and 12 years, I believe. Way back, it was way back. So we're here to talk about Gulf Coast 70.3 tonight. It's coming up soon. And so we're just going to go ahead without any further ado and get rolling. So if you haven't already, so this week you should be working on hopefully scheduling a bike tune-up and getting that into the shop, getting, asking them to get it race ready, going through your chain, your cassette, your tires, giving it a really good cleanup. And just make sure everything's spick and span and ready to go on race day. After you get your bike tuned up, make sure to ride it 1 to 2 times afterwards, just to make sure nothing got messed up at the shop and everything's riding smoothly. Purchase any last minute race items that you need for race day this week. Make your packing list, confirm your accommodations. If you haven't already, call that your VRBO or your hotel and make sure everything's, still in place. Think about what you want to eat for your pre-race meal the night before the race. It's not a great idea to go out to eat the night before the race because you just don't know what you're going to get, and restaurants tend to be very crowded. You don't know how long you're going to have to wait to get seated or your checks and so forth. So it's just a lot safer to save those restaurant meals for after the race or a couple days before the race and just stay home, eat a quiet meal, cook for yourself. And if you're in a condo, and if you're in a hotel, maybe, order and get takeout from a reliable place that you've eaten at before. You also, most of you have already probably done this, but if not, make sure that you go onto your active.com account and sign up for a check-in time. Once you sign up for a check-in time, get your QR code, save it on your phone, print it out because you will need that for check-in. Also, I don't know necessarily with the QR codes. I don't think that they make you show your USAT membership card anymore. They used to be very strict about that, but have it on hand just in case. If you don't have the actual card, you can pull it up on your phone, screenshot it, and save it into your photo so it's handy when you check in. And you definitely need a picture ID. It can be your driver's license, passport, anything that has your photo on it to get that check-in. So the 2 things you definitely need are your QR code and your photo ID when you go up for your check-in time. 2 weeks out, so that marks this coming weekend, will mark 2 weeks out from race day. Start, making your piles for packing, like making lists. What do I need for my gear on race day? Making some piles in your room on the floor, like here's my swimming gear, here's my biking gear, here's my running gear, things like that. Make a plan to set up a time to meet with your coach if you have one to go over your race week plan. And if you haven't already, start race day visualizations. These are proven to make success on race day. And this is just going through, starting with your toes in the sand at the starting line, and you're just picturing everything that you see and that you feel, you hear, using all 5 senses. Starting from the starting line, and then just a fast forward through swimming, T1, biking, T2, running, finish line. You can either visualize yourself looking out like you're actually the one doing it, or the other way to do visualizations is from a bird's eye view when you're up looking down upon yourself. So try to do that. It takes just 30 seconds, 1 minute every day between now and race day. Another thing to do, write your goals down. And look at them every day. Put them somewhere you're going to see them, on your bathroom mirror, on your dashboard of your car. And it doesn't necessarily need to be time goals. They can be if this isn't your first race. I wouldn't suggest having time goals for your first race. But if it's not your first race, you can do time goals, or you can do just more objective goals, not necessarily based around time. Also be sure these next couple weeks that you're getting plenty of rest, because you probably won't sleep very well the night before the race. So make sure your sleep is You have a lot of sleep deposited into your sleep bank. Try to eat very healthy, nutrient dense foods and hydrate. You do not want to go into the race dehydrated. And it takes a few days to make sure that your hydration levels are up. You can't just leave yourself dehydrated and think like the day before the race, you're going to drink a lot of water and Gatorade and rehydrate. It takes days to keep those levels good. Race week, just some tips for race week. Again, I'm going to say this like 5 times tonight. Make sure you're hydrating and fueling your body with good food. The more nutrients you put into your body, the better it's going to perform on race day. And again, hydrate, not just with water. The week before the race, you want to mix in some sport drink, whatever your sport drink of choice is, to make sure you're getting those electrolytes stored up. Make sure you arrive to the race site within plenty of time to get an early check-in. The check-in starts on Thursday. The earlier you can check in, the shorter the lines will be. The shorter the lines are, the less time you're going to spend standing out in the sun, waiting in line. And it's just a less stress to get things done early. Once you check in on Thursday, you're going to also sign up for a bike check-in on Friday. You have to drop your bike off on Friday, the day before the race. When you check in, go ahead and use that time to do your expo shopping. And then after you've done your shopping on that first day you check in, try to stay out of the expo. The expo area is an area of high nerves. It's an area that makes you start second guessing yourself. You look at all the people and you're like, oh, that person looks way more fit than me, or, oh, that person's ripped. Oh, I don't look like that. And you start just questioning your training, questioning your body appearance for others. So just make sure, do your shopping and just get out of the expo area and don't go back. Try to get a practice swim in at the race venue, just to get a feel for the water, some sighting, like where you're going to sight. Obviously you're going to sight on the buoys, but maybe a landmark as you're coming into shore. Sometimes the sun is in your eyes. It's hard to see those return buoys, and you might want to find a point on a building. Yeah, and if you happen to be there and you can, if you don't want to swim that early in the morning, at least maybe go out to the water on Friday, around the time of the race start, just to see where the sun is and where you're going to sight and when it's going to be in your eyes and so forth. If it makes you more comfortable, not necessarily after you've driven 7 hours to Panama City, do you want to go drive 56 more miles on the bike course? But if that's something that will make you feel more comfortable, it is a wise idea to do that, just to get landmarks. And then when you go to do the bike, you'll feel a little bit more comfortable that you've seen it. Same thing with the run course. The run course is 3 loops. You might not be able to drive through all of it, but most of it you can. When you get there, also that first day, go ahead and grocery shop for your meals and your snacks. Get all that prep work done the first day you're there. And then after that, you're going to try to get as much downtime as possible. Get all the housekeeping done on Thursday or Friday, whenever you arrive. The rest of the time is for resting. If you're not from Florida, our sun is very intense down here, even in May. Especially if it's a bright blue sky, which it tends to be a lot of times this time of the year. Make sure you're wearing sunscreen in the days leading into the race if you're going to be outside, and don't spend too much time in the sun. Any bit of sunburn is going to dehydrate you, and it's just going to make you uncomfortable on race day. About 3 days out from the race, try to cut down on high fiber foods, just so your digestive system is cleaned out. High fiber foods, like broccoli, things that have a lot of fiber that might not be digested on race day. If it's going to be hot, which it probably will, just put a little extra salt on your food the couple days before the race, and be sure you are eating carbs, such as pasta, rice, potatoes, bread, with each meal, starting on Thursday night. And again, try to get some good sleep the week before the race, because again, you probably aren't going to sleep very well the night before the race. In case you haven't checked, here's the address. We are recording this, so you can look back. This is also in your athlete guide, which I highly encourage you to read. This is the address of where you will check in and what you need to bring. And also in the athlete schedule and guide, there are mandatory athlete briefing times. I think there's 2 each day leading up to the race. I highly encourage you to attend one of these. The athlete briefings will just go over the course info, any changes that might have been made last minute to the course. Maybe if there's potholes to look out for, things like that. They'll go over that on the athlete briefing. This is a picture of last year's check-in. Just want to throw some fun photos in. So I know Mike and Kim are in this picture in the middle. They're on the call tonight. So that's where you check in. That's what it looks like when you get there. When you get your race packet in the check-in tent, it's going to contain your timing chip, and you're going to get that as soon as you check in, and they will activate it for you. You will not put that timing chip on at that time, but you will put it in a very safe place. You do not want to lose your timing chip. You also get a race bib. After the check-in process, there's going to be a stage, and this is a little different this year, where you can have your name added onto your race bib. I have not seen that done in the past. Usually it's already on your bib, so I'm not sure if that's something new that's going to be at every race or not. You're also going to get stickers for your bike helmet and your bike. You're going to get a swim cap, and that will be the swim cap that you wear on race day. So again, don't lose that. What I normally do is I put my timing chip inside my swim cap and then keep it in a very safe place for race day. You're also going to get a bike checkout ticket. What this is for is if you have a family member or a friend with you, you give this bike checkout ticket to them. And in the case that you cannot go pick up your bike yourself, they can pick the bike up for you with that ticket. You're also going to get an athlete wristband put on your wrist at check-in. And this has to be worn until race day and until you get all of your belongings out of transition. You'll need that to get in and out of transition. No one can go in and out of transition without a wristband on. So I'm not racing. I will be at the race. I will not be allowed to be in transition because I'm not an athlete and I will not have a wristband on. Here's what your wristband looks like. And here's a bottle of hydration. Just reminding you again, time number 3 tonight, hydrate. Friday, the day before the race, your nerves are going to be very high. Hydrate again and again and again. All day on Friday. You're going to have to just pee all day long. And again, just to remind you, this is not with just water. It's also mixing in sport drink. In the morning, pretty early, by 8 o'clock or so, eat a large carb heavy breakfast, get those carb stores activated. Carb heavy, meaning pancakes, toast, potatoes, couple eggs for protein, things like that, English muffins, whatever, gluten-free items if you're gluten-free. And then after your breakfast, go ahead and take your bike over at your check-in time. You will need your bracelet on for a bike check-in. And I think they're giving you a card this year, a different color thing that you have to for your bike check-in time, based upon the time that you've chosen. Go ahead and get a practice swim in if you haven't already done that. And then after that, get out of the sun and get off your feet. It's a good day to sit in your condo, watch a movie, read, chill out with friends, just relax in your condo, stay out of the sun. And it's just one more time to make sure everything's ready for race day. You should have done that at home, but just, you can eyeball it one more time. Make sure all your gear is packed and near the front door and ready to go in the morning. You don't want to get up on race morning and start packing your bags and putting things into your backpack and getting ready to go. That should be done. Your bottles should also be made the night before and then put into the refrigerator. And then I like to leave a little note on my door as I'm walking out saying, don't forget your bottles. Guess why? I know to do that because one year I did forget my bottles and I got to transition and panicked. Luckily, my hotel is very close and I could run. I had my husband bring them to me, but from that, I learned to always leave a note on my door. Let's see. Okay. Have some post-race items ready and know who you're going to leave them with. I like to have a change of clothes. Just laying it out there. I do pee on myself on the bike. I don't want to walk around cheering people on after I'm done racing with pee pants on and sweat or salt stuck to me. So I bring a little washcloth with some soap on it in a Ziploc bag and a dry towel, and then a fresh change of clothes, put it all in a little bag, and I give it to a friend or leave it at the OutRival tent or somewhere where I can cross the finish line and go grab that and rinse off and put fresh clothes on. And then if you're going to be cheering on, you feel a lot fresher and a lot more clean to for the rest of the afternoon. If you gave your bike check out to someone, and they can get your bike, even if you can go get your bike. Sometimes it's nice to go ahead and have a family member or friend get your bike out, and then you don't have to do that after you're finished racing. And then going back to your food taper, remember I said to eat a large carb heavy breakfast. You're going to do a food taper on Friday. Your lunch is going to be a medium sized meal for the day. Again, containing carbs and healthy proteins, maybe like a half of a sub or a rice bowl with a chicken breast, baked potato and some chicken, something like that. And then dinner is going to be your smallest meal of the day. This is obviously, as the day goes on, you're going to take smaller meals in, so your body starts digesting all this and you don't wake up eating at 7:30 at night and you had a ribeye steak and mashed potatoes with a lot of butter and milk and buttery corn, stuff like that. So small meal for dinner, early, 6 o'clock, don't eat too late. And it should be pretty, bland, like some white rice or like sweet potato, white potato, pasta, and some protein of your choice. And if you feel hungry just before bed, just have a little protein drink, whatever protein powder you use, in some water, not milk. And then before going to bed, try to do some relaxing wind down activities that will help promote sleep and rest. Being on your laptop, watching TV, that blue light actually reduces your melatonin production. So sometimes being on your computer is not the wisest, or your phone is not the wisest thing to do right before bed. So read a book, meditate, listen to something calming on your phone, but not looking at your phone, just listening, like to a meditation or something. This is just a little picture of last year's practice swim. Now we get to bike check-in. So mandatory bike check-in. Like I said, the day before the race, Friday, May 6th from 10 to 5. You will have signed up for a time. It's in between that 10 and 5 hour. Athletes must check your bike in during the selected time slot. And those slots are allocated on a first come, first serve basis at check-in. When you check in, you will receive a color-coded card that corresponds to your bike and gear check-in time. You will have access to your bike starting 4:30 in the morning. That's when transition opens on race morning, but you will not be allowed to remove your bike from transition before the race morning. So there's no practice rides, anything like that. Your bike's in there, it's staying in there. When you get to transition that morning, that's when you add your bottles onto your bike, any food items. You're checking your bike in overnight. You can have gels on your bike or wrapped items, but no food items like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that critters can come forage on during the night. And all your bike hydration needs to be put on race morning as well. You cannot leave that on your bike overnight. Your timing chips have to be worn to bike check-in on Friday. Do not forget them. Put your timing chip on to bring your bike in. When you get back to your condo, make sure you take it off and put it back in your swim cap and put it into your backpack that you're bringing on race morning. This is a picture of last year's bike transition. As you can see, we got really lucky with the weather last year. Bright blue skies, did get a little hot on the run, but overall it was a pretty nice day. And it's going to be just like that for you guys. All right, so we're going to get to the swim course. It's pretty straightforward. You're on the shore, you're straight out, you make a turn, you're going across the shore and then turning again and straight back into the shore. You're going to keep the buoys on the way out. You're going to keep the buoys on your right shoulder. And then when you make that turn, they're still on your right shoulder. And then going in again, buoys on the right shoulder. Now you can swim inside the buoy line a little bit. I mean, you can't cut the course or anything, but if you happen to be on the opposite side of the buoy, so the buoy's on your left shoulder, for example, once you get to the turn buoys, so if you can see my cursor, the turn buoys are red. I believe on the way out, the siding buoys are yellow, and then you get to a red turn buoy right here and a red turn buoy here. And then I believe the buoys going back to shore are orange. Okay. Well, I just moved the thing. These turn buoys, you have to turn on the right, with the buoy on your right. So if you're swimming inside these buoys on the way out, for some reason you got on this side of the buoy line, it's okay. You're not going to get kicked out of the race. You're not going to get penalized. But once you get to this turn buoy, you have to swim back out and around. And same thing over here. You have to swim around the outside of it and then in. Here's a picture of the swim water last year, the day before the race. It wasn't that calm on race day, but this could be what you get. It's very unpredictable up there. Well, I'll talk a little bit about the swim course in just a second, but this is just some guidelines. The sunrise is early in Panama City. They are an hour back, even though most of us, you know, we live here in Florida. Panama City is 1 hour back. They're not on Eastern time. They're on Central time. So it gets lighter earlier there than it does here. It is a rolling start. Most of us are pretty familiar with rolling starts by now, unless this is your first race. A rolling start is when you self-seed into a time corral. And if you picture that, if you've ever done a half marathon and they have pacing groups and they have a pacer with a sign having a time on it, that is exactly how this rolling swim start is. So they'll have, the first person will have a sign, under 30 minute swim, line up behind me. And then under 25 minute swim, 25 to 30 minutes, line up here. 20 to 25 minutes, line up behind this person. So you get behind where, the person where you think your closest finish time is going to be. And then once the horn goes off, the first person steps away, that group goes, and then the next person steps away. And there's no stopping in between each group. It's just a rolling, like people just keep walking into the water based upon the line that they were in, based upon their estimated finish time. Each athlete will have 1 hour and 10 minutes to complete the 1.2 mile swim course. The water temperature is usually around 70 degrees this time of the year in Panama City. So most of the time it is wetsuit legal. Anything above 76.1 degrees is non-wetsuit legal. Athletes' official race time will start once you get to the water's edge. There'll be a timing mat there. And once you go into the water and you cross that mat, that starts your race day. So when you're standing on the shore, that does not count. Once you hit that timing mat and you step into the water, your day starts. You have 8.5 hours to complete this whole 70.3 race. Athletes will swim in a clockwise position. I already kind of mentioned that. This is just another picture, another year of the swim. You can see it's a little choppier on this year. This is early in the morning before the swim starts. You can see the sun's coming up early. Just some swim tips. If you have not swam in saltwater and in the Gulf before, it is a little different than the lake. First of all, just make sure you seed yourself accurately on the rolling start. And understand that your heart rate is going to be very high in the beginning of the swim. You're going to be very nervous. Your breathing is going to be fast. Your heart's going to be high. And it only takes a few moments once you start swimming to get it all calmed down. If you start to swim too fast and your heart rate is high and you're breathing fast, you can feel a little bit of a panic attack, like especially if you're in a wetsuit and there's compression on your chest, and you mentally will start to panic and feel like you're going to drown or people are swimming all around you. Just try to tell yourself, I'm okay. It's good. This is going to calm down in a few minutes. My breathing is going to calm down. My heart's going to calm down. Just keep taking slow, deep breaths. Take some nice, long, steady strokes, and try not to let the people all around you disturb you. They're going to be jostling into you, but most of the time it's not on purpose. It's everyone's nervous and everyone's trying to get started. So try not to let people make you angry that they're knocking into you. I like to just imagine that I have a suit of armor around me, and I try to, in the beginning of the swim, keep my arms very close into my head so I don't get hit in the head. And I just try to keep my head down, my arms mostly out to the side, and stroke with my face down as much as possible, and pretend like I have protective gear on and I'm not going to get hurt, whatever it takes. You can chant things in your head to try to get your breathing, like stroke, stroke, breathe, stroke, stroke, breathe, stroke, stroke, breathe, whatever can calm you down. You may see jellyfish or sea life. It is the Gulf. It's salt water. I have raced Ironman Florida up there 3 times. It's the same body of water, and then Gulf Coast. And I have definitely seen jellyfish and practice swims in between. I've been going to Panama City every year except for the hurricane year since 2008. So I've swam every time I've gone up there, and pretty much every time I go up there, I do see jellyfish. I don't like jellyfish. Most people don't, I guess. But most of the time they look like they're very close, but the water is usually so clear that they're actually very far beneath the surface of the water, and they just look like they're close. A lot of jellyfish don't even sting. We think they all, we panic because we think they all sting us, but a lot of times they don't. So try not to let it affect you too much. Chances are nothing's going to happen to you. And the worst case, if they do sting you, it feels like a little burning sensation. If you have a wavy start, so opposite of that picture I just showed you, you've got big waves coming at you. Now you're a little bit more panicked. Once you get out past the breakers, usually the water calms down, not always, but the best way to get into the waves, instead of trying to go over the waves or through the waves, dive under the waves and just try to go under the waves, and then you don't even feel the wave anymore. If you're going against a current, so usually against the current would be once you get out to the swim and you take that turn and you're swimming diagonal to shore, that might be where you have a current. The current could be pushing you in a positive direction where it's to your feet and it's pushing you forward, and you're like, oh, wow, I'm swimming really good. I'm swimming fast. That's awesome if that happens. If the opposite happens and you're swimming against a current and you keep looking, you're like, man, I'm working really hard and I'm just not going anywhere. You are slowly going forward, but again, don't let it make you panic. Just keep working. Try not to fight the current. Just take your time a little bit and realize you are moving a little slower, but everyone else is too. You're all in the same boat. So just try to be calm. When you're swimming into a current, your turnover should just be a little bit more rapid versus a glide. If the current is pushing you, you can take a little bit of the longer strokes. But if you're swimming into the chop or into a current, try to dig a little bit with a more rapid arm turnover. Also during chop, you may need to turn your head back just a little further for breathing. Usually we tell you, just take one eye out of the water and do Popeye breathing. If you have current smacking you in the face, you might need to turn your head back just a little bit more towards the back of your shoulder. And if you do bilateral breathing, you're able to breathe on both sides. Obviously, try to breathe to the side that's not slapping you in the face with the chop. So that concludes the swim portion of the course. I don't know, I asked 2 people to come on here and give an athlete's perspective of the swim. So real quick, if Kim or Mike have anything to add to their feelings about the swim from last year, go ahead and unmute yourself and add a little bit of blurb now if you want. If not, you can pass.
I thought what you said about going into the current was really good. Last year when I was swimming into shore, I don't know if I was in a rip but there was definitely a current that I hadn't felt until I actually got close to shore. So, in the Gulf, rips and currents happen in weird spaces. And so if you're not used to swimming in salt water, I would just say that, like, all of a sudden, if you're not going anywhere, it's going to, like you said, it's going to be okay. And you just need to keep going with it and you'll get there.
That's great, Kim. Thanks.
Yeah, I think that's
Hey,
pretty
Mike.
much, yeah, no, I don't really have much to add. Kim and you nailed it.
The worst thing you can do is panic. That's just the worst thing you can do, because then you don't start thinking clearly. So just try to keep your head calm this whole time you're swimming. That's the best, easiest advice. All right, so the bike course, 56 miles. This is my favorite part of the race. So the course has made some slight changes this year. I did see on a Facebook page, some people were complaining about that we're going you guys, I'm not racing. You guys are going behind into a Publix parking lot. We did not do this in years past. And then behind the Publix and then back out. Trust me, Ironman's trying to keep everyone as safe as possible. So they're not like just doing this for the hell of it and like, hey, let's make them go through the Publix parking lot for fun. There's a reason they did this. There were some situations last year where traffic got heavy. So they're definitely trying to divert you away from traffic and dangerous intersections. So don't let it panic you that you have to go in a parking lot behind a Publix. There'll be plenty of volunteers directing you. They're going to keep the cars away from you. Ironman does not want anyone getting hurt. That's the last thing they want, because obviously that's just not a good mark on their name. So what happens on the bike course is you leave the Edgewater transition area. If you can see my cursor, it's right here where this little checkered flag is. You're going to go right out on Front Beach Road, and then you're going to make a little bit of a turn. It kind of just, it's hard to explain, but it just kind of merges into a turn. And then you're going to go a little bit on Pier Park Drive. And then you're going to go out this main highway right here, Highway 79, I believe it is. This is the main part of the course. This is where you're going to get most of your miles in. It is windy. It's a coastal town. I've never, since 2008, been to Panama City in November or May, and it's not windy. So expect it to be a windy bike course. That's all there is to it. Chances are the wind is going to be into your head. So it's going to be more challenging on the way back into town. So just expect that. So monitor or keep your energy in check on the way out. If you have that tailwind, you're going to be feeling really good, but keep in mind, on the way back, it's going to be more challenging. So don't burn all your matches on the way out. When you're going into a headwind, when you have a tailwind, you can use a little bit of a lower gear, a little bit of a lower cadence, and get that free speed on the way out. When you're coming back and you have a headwind, you're going to go into a higher gear where it's easier to pedal and your cadence is a little bit higher and you're spinning your legs just a little bit. Just, again, don't fight the wind. Just try to spin through it. Once you get, I didn't forget to mention, on the way out, you are going to cross over a pretty significant size bridge, nothing to worry about, but it is a pretty good incline. But what goes up must come down. So you get to go down the bridge, which is fun, and then roll right into the main part of the course. Once you get out here and you're getting close to the U-turn, there is another incline. If you're not from Florida, you're going to laugh that I'm even calling it an incline. But to us pancake flat living Floridians, it is a little bit of a false flat, as we call it, or you kind of all of a sudden feel like, wow, my speed's slowing down. I must be getting tired. But that's probably where you're getting into this little bit of an incline. You get to the turnaround and then it's, a little bit of the descending. And then more than likely, this is where you're going to be fighting the headwind back into town, going over the bridge again. And then here's where it gets a little bit tricky. You get off the highway, you get back into this little part of the town, back through Pier Park, right? All these little baby turns. Now you're back along the coastline. Here is where the wind gets, for the most part, atrocious. It's usually a crosswind, and your bike is blowing almost to the side, and you have to be very aware of controlling your bike. If the wind is too blowy, blowing you from side to side, probably shouldn't be in your aero bars if you don't have very good handling skills. And then over here is where we get into the little behind the here's the Publix. We're going to go into the parking lot, behind the Publix, blah, 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 out of the Publix and into, I guess, some little bike path they mentioned, which also wasn't on the course in the past. And then you turn here, and then you're back again along Front Beach Road, where it's also going to be part of the run course. Here's where the wind picks up even more. This section of the road here is very, very windy. There's no way around it. So just expect it to be very, very wind. Like it's either going to be crosswind or it's going to be a headwind. It's just not going to be fun. Come back. So be patient on the way out of town. The bike course is crowded. So might not be the best time to be on your aero bars. People are trying to get their heart rates down. They're sometimes clipping into their shoes. They're taking gels, and bikes are all over the place. So be aware, be cautious on the way out of town. Once you get on that highway, everything breaks up a bit. And then that's when you space out and you get rid of your like following side by side with people. I've already said expect wind on the way out. On the way back, a headwind. The bridge we already mentioned. The false flats we already mentioned. And then again, wind. Bike tips. Just especially for first timers on here tonight, be careful at the bike mount and the dismount line. This is where people try to do amazing things here. They're trying to do a flying mount and they don't know how, and they're falling. They're trying to put their shoes into, or their feet into shoes that are hooked onto their pedals, and they have never done it before, and they're looking down and not watching where they're going. So just be very cautious here. I personally like to go, you don't have to mount right at the mount line. You can go up ahead of the mount line or over to the side. There's no rule saying you can't walk 50 feet with your bike and get out of that crazy area. So go over to the side, go up a little bit ahead if you want, and get on your bike there versus in the crazy area. As soon as you get on your bike and your heart rate's under control, so within 10, 15 minutes or so, start hydrating, fueling right away. You should pee at least one time on your bike to ensure hydration, and that you're ready for the run and hydrated for the run. One time at least. More times is fine. Whether you choose to pee on your bike or stop in a portalet, that is completely up to you. But make sure that you drink so much in the beginning of your bike until you have to pee at least once. And then keep drinking on a regular basis. You should at least take in, and a lot of this is dependent on your sweat rate, but as a general rule of thumb, about a bottle per hour. So if you feel like you're going to take 3 hours to do this bike course, you should at least get 3 bottles of Gatorade or whatever your sport drink is in to your body. Keep your pedaling as steady as possible. It's those little surges that burn your legs out for the run. It's not necessarily over biking, meaning like biking faster than what you should be. It's the, oh, someone passed me and now I'm really pissed off, so I'm going to pass them back. And then you start playing that game like, okay, I'm going to sprint past them for 30 seconds. And now I'm going to slow down. Now I'm going to sprint again for 30 seconds. That's what kills your legs for the run. So keep your pedaling, your power, your heart rate, keep it all flatline, as steady as you can. Every single thing that you do or that you do not do on your bike will affect your run negatively or positively. I like to think that my bike ride is my vessel that will ensure a good run. So everything that I do on my bike, I'm thinking like, is this going to be good for the run? So that's what you need. The attitude you need to have is like, you need to watch your pacing on the bike. You need to watch your fueling on the bike, and you need to keep a positive attitude on the bike to ensure a good run. I already mentioned when you're going into headwind, pedal lightly and spin, and on the tailwind, you can use a little lower cadence and use that free speed. When you come up to an aid station, these aid stations are every 15 miles apart. That'll be the next slide. These are just like the bike mount and dismount area. They're hectic, they're crazy. People who are being very competitive are going through trying to grab bottles at 23 miles an hour. And then there's beginners who don't really have handling skills, and they don't really know what they're doing. And then people are flying past them. And then we have the other people like trying to grab a bottle for their very first time. So if you need a bottle, like what I like to do is, first of all, you should not be on your aero bars. I like to find a volunteer. If I know I'm going to need a Gatorade bottle, it's all in a certain order. Like there's a segment of Gatorade, there's a segment of water, Gatorade, water, gels. So I will, if I need Gatorade, I'll find the Gatorade person. There'll be say 10 of them. And I look to one person, and I look when I'm like, you Gatorade, please, and grab the bottle from that person. If you drop it, chances are you may drop it. Just go to the next person, Gatorade, please, and grab the next Gatorade. And hopefully you don't drop that one. You also have to have all your trash thrown out by the end of the bike aid station. It'll have a sign saying last chance trash drop. You have any gel wrappers, any empty bottles you want to discard off your bike, have to be done before that sign. Otherwise you'll get a littering penalty. Yes, so if you have never gone through a bike aid station before and grabbed the bottle while you're still rolling on your bike, you should practice it at home before race day. Have a friend stand on the side of a parking lot somewhere where there's not a lot of cars, and just stand there holding the bottle out, and you keep rolling past on your bike, and you try to practice grabbing it from your friend. And so you know how to do it on race day. If you end up with a flat or a mechanical, again, not the time to panic. It's not going to do you any good to freak out, because you're just going to lose your thought. I like to think if I have any issues on race day, it's like a traffic light. The problem is red. Okay, red, I have a flat tire. What am I going to do? I'm not going to panic. I'm going to stop and fix my problem. Yellow light, I'm fixing my problem calmly. I'm thinking it through. I'm not trying to rush, because rushing is only going to make it wrong or make it take longer because you're panicking. And then green light is I fixed the problem. It's now time to move and go on. I don't know if that helps anyone, but that's what I do. Bike aid stations, like I said, every 15 miles apart. On the bike, the Gatorade flavor is orange. They'll also have Red Bull for you. They'll have Martin Gels 100, and then they'll have the 100 with caffeine. The caffeine gels are white, so think white lightning. Like the white is going to give you the energy. It's got the caffeine in it. It's as much caffeine as a cup of coffee. There's also fig bars, and the fruit of choice on the bike station is bananas. So I'm going to ask Mike and Kim if you have anything to add to last year's thoughts as athletes on the bike course. Go ahead and unmute and add your thoughts now. If not, you don't have to add anything.
You mentioned it, but the last 5 miles or so of coming back into town, it is definitely a point where you'll start thinking, oh, I've only got 5 miles to go. I want to get done. And if you start to hammer it, it's really going to set you up for a bad run, because it's extremely windy, very, very windy. And if you have burned all your matches and then try and burn through that wind, you're really setting yourself up for a bad run. So just be cautious that you are going to hit that headwind on the way back.
For sure.
And the only other thing I would say is I saw a lot of people's crap laying on the road last year. I know, it's Florida, so we have road construction all day, every day. Like it never really goes away, I don't think. So you just might want to be aware that the bumps coming off the bridge and the bumps going on the overpasses and all the little bumps are places that you can lose your gear, your bottles, your stuff. And so you may just want to just be cognizant of that, because I saw like people's rear wings laying in the road, all kinds of stuff.
So to kind of tie in with what Kim just said, it's on the bike course last year, and I don't know what mile marker it'll be with the new course this year, but it was around mile 10 or 11 when we first started to go up the first bridge. And the bottom of that bridge has the grate where it allows for the road to expand. And that you'll eject, that's where a lot of people ejected their first set of bottles. In fact, I lost my tire repair kit. It flew out. So not a good feeling to be riding naked for the last 46 miles with no tubes or anything. But it was mile 10. It was mile 10, mile 11, somewhere in there. So be cautious as you're coming up on that bridge, that even if you take an extra 5 seconds to just reach back and make sure your bottles are secure in place before going over, starting up that climb.
Definitely. Thanks, Mike. The run course is 3 loops. It's hot. There's no shade. I don't think, maybe a patch here or there when you run behind the water park. It's hot and it's sunny, unless it's a cloudy day, but wear your sunscreen, try not to get sunburned. And we'll talk about cooling strategies in a second, but you're gonna leave transition on the run course. It's a pancake flat run. There is not a hill on it. There's not a bridge. It's just flat. There are some turns, but this is definitely a course to PR your run on. You're going to leave transition, which is again in the Edgewater condo parking lot. If you can see my cursor, there's a pedestrian bridge that goes over the main road, Front Beach Road here. You're going to start your run by going across this bridge. It is an incline, and you're like, what the heck? Why are you making me run over a bridge when I just got off my bike? So you're only going to cross that in the beginning, and then you're going to even love it even more, because at mile 13, you're going to cross it again. And then you're really pissed off that time, because now you really don't want to go over a bridge at the end of your 13-mile run. But the positive part about the second cross is that you're heading right into the finish line after that. So you cross over the bridge in the beginning, and then the run just takes you, to start off, it takes you the very first loop. You don't do this part, I think you just go over this bridge here, and you end up behind some condominiums, kind of in their little side road of a condominium area. You go down out of the condominium area here, and then you cross on this little main road for just a second, and then you turn into another parking lot right around in here. You cut through this parking lot, and then you're out on this main road again, Hutchison Boulevard. And this is a pretty busy road. I believe part of it might, this part is definitely on a sidewalk area. Then you turn back on these back roads, and right here is a water park. And you're going to pass this water park 3 times. And each time it gets worse and worse to pass, because you get more and more hot. And then you just get a little bit envious of these people who are going down water slides and drinking their ice cold drinks, and you're taking your 100th gel for the day and drinking more and more Gatorade, and you're hot and you're on the run course. But you're really the lucky one, because you're getting to race, and you can go to the water park anytime. You can't do a 70.3 every day. So just keep that in mind. Like, yeah, they're having fun, but I'm having fun too, because I'm getting to race, and I'm almost done because I'm on the last leg. So you're going to go through here, and then just down a straightaway for a bit. As you can see, it's just a lot of straight roads. And then you're back on Front Beach Road. This can be a little, well, last year there was a Jeep rally. So it was definitely, there was a lot of people in Jeeps and traffic. It was annoying racing last year. This year, there's no Jeep rally. So you guys are lucky. But this road's just a long straightaway. You don't necessarily see the beach. It's just in between the condos. And then back here, not over the pedestrian bridge again, you go a little bit farther, and then you're just looping around. Now you're behind the condos again, and you're gonna do this whole thing. Second loop, and now you're gonna go third loop all the way around again. But this time, you're gonna go back around this section here again, the third time. But instead of continuing on here, it'll say third lap this way, finish this way. And this is when you cross over this pedestrian bridge at mile 13. But remember, you have still 0.1 to go. So you're going to drop off the bridge, and you're just going to go into the parking lot of Edgewater. You go behind the condo through a little breezeway, and then into your finish line. The run aid stations are about every mile to mile and a half apart. They're really great aid stations. They're definitely a lot of them. So you don't have to worry about carrying your own stuff. They're very well stocked. There are a lot of volunteers. At each aid station, they're going to have water. This time, you get to change it up. Lemon lime Gatorade instead of orange. Red Bull, Coke, the Martin gel, non-caffeinated and caffeinated. Think white lightning. Fig bars, potato chips, pretzels, bananas, and oranges for the run. And then active ice at run station 1 only. So those are your lunch selections. I recommend definitely, you should obviously have your fueling plan nailed down by this point. So don't try anything new on race day. The only thing that I personally would try, but I know my body tolerates Coke, is towards the end of the run, I do start like getting really sick of Gatorade. And if I can't get the gels and Gatorade down anymore, I will switch to Coke. Because the Coke still has the caffeine, it has simple sugar in it, and the bubbles sometimes just taste good at the end. And if I need salt and I just don't want to take, like, you should carry salt. I'm sorry, like, again, you should have practiced it by now, but a salt supplement. But the chips are really good with the Coke if you need to get some salt, just a chip or two, not a lot. They've got a lot of fat, but just if you need salt. So that's just some choices there towards the end of the run if you can't get those gels and Gatorade down anymore. The run course, we already talked about 3 loops. Again, it's gonna probably be pretty hot, no shade. So a couple things you can do for cooling strategies. I like to, they're those cool, they're called cooling towels, and they look like a chamois that you dry your car off with. You can wet it ahead of time, and I like to keep mine wrapped around my neck, and then I tuck it into my top. And then if I need to re-wet it, I just use some of the ice and the water at the aid stations and then re-wet it and then put it back around my neck. Just having that wet cooling towel around the back of your neck really helps to keep your core temperature down. The other thing you can do is bring Ziploc baggies of ice and carry them in your hands. And that ice in your hands will also help keep your core temperature down. And you can refill those bags at the aid stations. And then also you can just dump ice cubes down your sport bra, in your bike shorts, or if you wear a hat, you can put it in your in the top of your hat. Hydrate at every aid station. So again, every mile to mile and a half, you should take some kind of sip of something, have your gels timed out wherever you need your gels, but definitely at least take a sip of Gatorade at each aid station. If you're on a run walk plan, that's your time to walk through those aid stations. That way you can get your nutrition down, dump water. We already talked about this. Yeah, we've already kind of gone through these. Last one I didn't mention, it's going to get tough out there on the run courses. I think where it gets the most challenging because it's the end of the race. It's hot. You've been at it for a while. So this is the time you need to try to play games with yourself and use all your mental strategies. Games being like, okay, there's that guy up there in the orange kit. I'm going to try to catch him. That's called fishing. Like I'm going to fish him in. I'm going to try to catch that guy and get past him. And you get past him and then you pick another target out. Or every time I run under a street light, the street light's going to give me energy and it's going to fill me with some renewal of energy. Just whatever, a little line of a song, a quote that maybe gets you going. You could sometimes write something on your arm, like a word, like stay strong, whatever it is. Some people like to dedicate miles to different friends. Like from miles 1 to 5, I'm going to think about my son. From mile 6 to 10, I'm going to think about my best friend and all the memories we've had. So just little things like that to get you through the run. Man, why does it have to be course cutoffs? Why can't we just stay out there all day, right? But unfortunately, the volunteers don't want to stay out there all day, so they have to have cutoff times. So the cutoff time for the entire race is 8.5 hours. Swim cutoff, I've already mentioned on the swim, is 1 hour and 10 minutes. The bike course closes 5.5 hours after the last athlete enters the water. And each athlete has 5.5 hours. So once your timing mat goes off at the start of the swim, you personally have 5.5 hours to complete the full swim, transition 1, and the full bike course, 5.5 hours. There will be one intermediate bike cutoff. You have to be to mile 36 by that cutoff time. The run, each athlete has 8.5 hours to complete the course, but there is one intermediate run cutoff at the mile 8.6 of the run. And I forgot to ask Mike and Kim if they have anything to add to the run course. Any tips?
It's just hot. I ended up wearing the like white cooling sleeves, number one for sun protection, but also just because they're cooling sleeves. And when I get hot, I actually put ice in the little cooling sleeves at my wrists as well, because I can't hold things while I run. And that seemed to help some, but yeah, it's just hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the good thing is, yeah, you have to play mental games in the map that you showed. The back half, there's nobody there. It's just you and the other racers. But when you get to Beach Road, that long stretch, it is filled with, that's where the crowd is. And so that will jack you up and get you through. So with 3 loops, you're really only having to go through the backside kind of by yourself. You can use the crowd support to kind of muscle your way through if you're suffering, especially on those 2, I think it's like 2 miles or something along Beach Road that you're running down. So you'll have the crowd cheering you, and there's a lot of people that come out.
For sure. That's the fun part. I'll be there cheering you guys on. All right. So thank you, Kim and Mike. It's always fun to get athlete perspectives. Yeah, there are some rules involved with racing too. So if you have never raced before, there are course penalties. I'm going to go through the real quick. You should read your athlete guide and know the rules and the penalty of why you could be penalized on a race. So make sure you're familiar with those. I'm going to go through some more common ones, and we're going to go through them very quick because you can read these in your athlete guide. So if a motorcycle referee comes up next to you and holds up a blue card, that means you have to go to the next penalty tent on the bike course and sit there for 5 minutes. And you will get a blue card for littering and drafting. If you have had 3 blue cards, you will get disqualified. So drafting, and they'll call your number out, like number 501, blue card for drafting, go to the next penalty tent. You go to the penalty tent, they mark your bib, and then you hold a stopwatch for 5 minutes, and they write your name down and your number that you were there. And then once your 5 minutes is up, you get back on your bike and go on. If the third time you get caught, you're disqualified. If you get a yellow card and they come up and they say, yellow card, this is for blocking, then you go to the penalty tent and you sit there for 30 seconds. Blocking is when you're riding next to someone and you're not allowing them, maybe if they need to pass the person in front of them, you're riding on the wrong side and you're blocking them in. I actually almost got a penalty for blocking once on a race. It was just a small local sprint race, but I saw a friend. And for those people that know me, like I like to talk to my friends, and I was talking to my friend, and my other friend was a referee, and she had the timer on me, and she said, you make for 2 seconds more, you would have sat there talking to whoever it was I was talking to, you would have gotten a penalty. So if you see your friend, say a quick hello, but don't sit there and like, how are you feeling? How's your day going? Because if the referee is behind you, you're going to get a yellow card for blocking. And then a red card, if you get that, you're just disqualified. That can be even if you haven't had blue cards before and you get a red card, can be something for like bad sportsmanlike conduct. So if a referee gives you a blue card and you're like start arguing with the referee, like, no way, man, I was not drafting, I was blah blah blah, then you can just get a red card they can just decide like you're being rude, you're disqualified. So if you get a penalty card, do not argue. Just say, sorry, okay, I'll go to the next penalty tent. Position violations. This is what I'm going to go through real quick. You can read up on these. You should know these. Every athlete should know these. Always ride on the right side of your lane to avoid an illegal position or blocking call. Like I just said, don't talk to your friends for too long. Keep 6 bike lengths clear between the front wheel and the rear wheel of the cyclist to avoid drafting. Always pass on the left of the cyclist in front of you and never on the right. If you pass on the right, it's an illegal pass. And also, just as if you were riding in a group, make sure you call it out like on your left when you're passing so they know you're coming around. You have 25 seconds to pass to avoid a drafting call. So this is kind of the sucky part at times, because sometimes if you do start to pass a person, they might speed up, and to avoid like, oh no, you're not going to pass me, I'm speeding up. They can actually get a penalty for that, but you have 25 seconds to get past that person and to get in front of them. Once you actually make the pass and you get in front of them, then it's the person's job behind you to drop back 6 bike lengths before they're allowed to pass you again. So they have to drop back, allow you the space. And then if they decide they need to pass you again, then once you're 6 bike lengths apart, then that person behind you can pass again. Your chin strap, you can get a penalty for not having your chin strap fastened. So before you leave transition, make sure your helmet strap is fastened. You must wear your race number. You cannot litter. Like I said, you have certain places you can throw things, but other places you may not. You will get penalized for that. Unauthorized equipment such as telephone, your iPhones, anything, no ear pods, no sunglasses with the ear pods attached, nothing like that. There will be no penalty chance on the run. If you're penalized on the run, they just mark your bib on the spot with a black Sharpie. And last little tip, just some tips for mental strength. Half Ironmans and Ironmans are really hard. It's a long day regardless. You know, most of us have put the training in and it's been a long commitment. It's been a big goal we've had. We've been working for a long time to get to this day. So here are just some little tips to get you through that race day. As I mentioned before, start your visualization exercises in the weeks leading into the race. So now, each day, just spend a few seconds picturing your race. Picture it in a good way of like, I'm strong, I'm doing so well, I'm having the best day I've ever had, but then also visualize some little mishaps. Like if I get a flat tire, here's how I'm going to react. If I drop all my nutrition, here's how I'm going to react. Then break the race and each discipline into small manageable chunks. Never look at the big picture. So never look when you're standing on the beach, oh, I have 70.3 miles ahead of me. Just say, I've got this swim. And in the swim, I have 10 buoys I need to get around. I have this bike. I have to get through 3 aid stations, 15 miles to each aid station. On the run, I need to do 3 laps. I need to do my first lap and then my second lap and then my third lap. Don't look at the whole day and don't look at the whole swim. Break each discipline into smaller parts as well. You're going to be nervous at swim start. We're all nervous. Doesn't matter if it's your 1000th triathlon or your first triathlon. We're all nervous. We just are. You don't know what to expect. You don't know how your day is going to go. And that's the unexpected and the unknown is scary. Use that nervous energy to your advantage. If I always tell people, if you weren't nervous at the beginning of a race, then it means that the day doesn't matter. And if the day doesn't matter, then you really shouldn't be racing. Getting to race is a gift and you should treat it as one. You should use a mantra, a phrase, or a song to help you get through the tough spots. I kind of already mentioned this. Remember, no matter how bad you feel during the race, and there will be moments where you feel like hell, or how good you feel, that feeling is going to change quickly. So embrace those good moments, treasure them and enjoy them, and then just try to get through the bad. Sometimes when you're starting to feel bad, it means your calories are low, and just try to do a gel, drink some Coke, drink some Gatorade, and sometimes that feeling will pass. Race in the moment. Just be aware of what you're doing at that one moment in time, to make sure you're doing your very best. Don't think about what has already happened in the race. Like, oh man, I thought I was going to swim 35 minutes and I swam 45 minutes. I just ruined my whole day. It's already gone. It's already, there's nothing you can do about it at this point. Hold on one moment. My stove. Sorry. I have my oven on a timer. Yeah, so what you just need to be thinking, like, am I doing everything in my power right now to make sure I'm having my best race? And don't worry about what might happen in the future. So don't think like, oh no, what if I get a flat tire at the last mile of the bike? Or what if I fall down that pedestrian? But don't think about things like that. Just think right now, what am I doing? I'm watching my pacing. I'm making sure I'm hydrating and taking my gels. I'm staying in a positive mindset. Those are the only things that you need to worry about. You need to be able to control the controllables and forget the rest. What you can control, the only things you control is your pace, the mood that you're in, and your nutrition. You can't control the weather. You can't control mechanical issues in the bike, and you can't control how other athletes are doing, and you can't control course mishaps. Like, oh man, we have to go through the back of Publix. Readjust missed goals in the fly. So maybe you thought you were going to bike a 2:45 and you biked 3 hours and you just missed your goal for your bike goal was you missed the time. So readjust, like, okay, well, I missed my bike goal time. What can I look forward to on the run? What new goal can I set on the run? And then just keep moving forward with the day. If the day is going to keep moving, no matter what happens, the race isn't going to shut down. So, well, unless a tornado or hurricane comes, but chances are the race is going to keep moving forward and you just need to move along with it. Just keep moving forward. Don't look back. Mike and Kim, real quick, do you have anything to add, like little mental strategies that help you on race day?
I use one of the things I use is what you said, I count buoys. As I'm swimming, because I hate
Great.
to swim, so there you go.
break it down. So after the race, you can pick up your bike and gear checkout is from 12 to 5. So anytime between 12 and 5, once you finish your race, you can go back and get your belongings out of transition. You do need to still have your wristband on to go get your belongings. If you're unable to personally claim your bike and your gear, again, a family member or a friend can go get those things for you. They just need that little ticket. And if you plan on cheering others on and staying to hang out around the race, again, bring a change of clothes, some money for food. And if you don't have anyone to leave that with, you can leave it in your transition bag in the race area and then just go back in and get that change of clothes and your money and everything. And here's your finish line. That's what it looks like. Be running through there in just a few weeks. Questions?
Jackie, I have a question. It's Jamie.
Hey.
Hey, is the bike course and the run, are they marked, I guess, in lack of better words? Like,
yes, very well marked. And there will
Okay.
be volunteers at any place you need to turn, or any area that's weird. There'll be volunteers to saying, right turn, or slow down, you're going into the parking lot, slow down, things like that. Yeah, very well
Okay.
marked. Yeah,
Thanks.
good question.
I missed the beginning. Can you hear me?
Hi, Lisa.
Okay, hi. I missed the beginning because I was screwed up on my time zones. But
Oh,
about how long will it take everyone to get in the water?
it doesn't take long. Maybe 20 minutes or so at most.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, they keep them moving. It's just, there's no stopping. There's no age. Like sometimes if you go to your local sprint, it's like a minute apart on each age group or whatever. It's just a constant rolling of filing in the water.
And is it really starting at 5:40 a.m.?
The pros will start at 5:40 a.m. The age
Okay.
groupers will probably start 5:50, 6 o'clock a.m. But remember,
Okay.
It gets light earlier in Panama City.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I don't know where you live, but where I live, it's like probably 6:45, 7 o'clock right now where it's light. There it's an hour back. It's on Central Time, and it's just the way it's set up. It gets light early.
Okay.
They won't start
So-
you in the dark.
Jackie, last year, and for anybody that's done a 70.3 or an Ironman this year, did they remove then the COVID protocols? Because remember last year, we had to stay in transition and then they called your swim time. Whereas before COVID, you would just kind of line up behind the sign and everybody
Yeah.
walked to the beach at the same time.
Yep. So I'm not sure. The athlete guide did not mention COVID protocol this year, but they might have just been repeating from pre-COVID years. But good point. If they are using COVID protocol, I feel like they're not going to be using COVID protocols this year. However, if they are, what they did last year was they kept you in transition. You stood by your bike. And then they started grouping you in transition based upon, they would call you like, anytime anyone swimming 35 to 40 minutes, corral, get into the corral now. And then you'd get into like a corral and then they'd walk you down to the beach. So you're a bit more spaced apart. Yeah. And they also didn't have wetsuit peelers with COVID. Again, don't know if those are coming back. Those are a nice treat to have. So yeah, I'm not really sure on the COVID protocol. Anyone else?
As far as in the parking lot of Publix, is there going to be part of it like blocked off, or are we just going to be having to watch out for the crazy drive like bats out of hell people in the parking lot?
I'm assuming it will, if it's not blocked off, there'll be plenty of volunteers to keep you safe.
Okay.
That's my assumption. It's a new part of the course, so I can't speak to 100% knowing that answer, but I would imagine Ironman does try to keep everyone safe, so I would imagine that there's going to be volunteers and probably orange cones. Anything else?
I have a question about the run. If you can hear me, could you
Yep,
hear me?
yep.
Okay. So there's 4 loops that you're doing.
loops.
Now, is it pretty 3 loops?
3 loops.
Okay. Okay. It's not too bad, but is there a place that is it obvious where you're running? I just don't
Yes.
want to get distracted and be like, oh my gosh, did I like this is my second one, this is my third one. Like, am I done? Like getting, I don't know. It's
That's
pretty
a
obvious.
good question. It's very marked, and there's volunteers anywhere you need to turn. And unless you plan on winning the race, there's always people ahead of you that you can see on which direction they're going.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
just
Thank you.
follow the crowd. But there are a lot of volunteers. There's aid stations every mile to mile and a half. So, but anywhere there's a major turn, there's definitely somebody standing there saying, turn right, turn right. And then again, once you do it the first time, you're going to be aware. The second, the third time is going to be like, oh yeah, I remember this part. But if you really have any question at all, it's a good idea. You can either bike or drive the just one loop of the course, and just so you know your landmarks.
Thank you.
And it is, I mean, and I'm not trying to sound, I don't know what the word is, not mean or anything, but it is, as an athlete, it is our responsibility to know the course. So while they do have volunteers out there and they do have turns, you know, clearly that there's people at the turns telling you where to go. If for some reason you got lost, it's not to sound harsh, but it is your fault. That they're not going to say, oh, sorry, you got lost. We'll still give you a medal or whatever if you don't finish. You do need to know, be slightly familiar with the course. So go through the course map. Maybe when you get there, drive it, like I said, or bike it. But with all that said and done, if you don't do those things, it is pretty, just follow the crowds and the volunteers. Any other questions? No. Now that my house smells like burnt Brussels sprouts, my timer was going off for a long time. We can go get them out of the oven. But thanks for joining us, you guys. I can't wait to see you guys. We will be up there. OutRival will have a tent right on one of the corners that you turn. I don't know the name of the street. It's Front Beach Road, and whatever the side street is, you turn around on your loops. So if you need anything, we'll be there. If you need to throw anything under the tent, we'll have it there. You can throw anything under there. I'll be there all during the race, as well as Mike and Kim will be racing. But good luck. Have a great race. It's a great course. It's definitely a course to PR on. So thanks for joining.